Hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson, and I want to confess this to you. I want to look you right in the eye and tell you I don't have the foggiest idea what's going on, nor what's going to happen.
The Latin reads Tempora Mutantur nos et Mutamur in Illis, which is my really bad Latin. It's usually somewhat translated as times change and we change with them. But even that's not really the best rendering of that. The best rendering of that is actually times change and we are changed by the times. Which is something that has been much in my mind of late. Why? Because my son is getting older and it's starting to show. He's almost 11 now. And he's starting to have questions and comments and things that are discussions that I don't ever remember even having with my parents. He wants to have with us. And just a little funny story here. We were on the beach out at Foulweather Bluff today, and you know, my wife's a nurse. She does nurse stuff, and so for her, discussions of human anatomy and that sort of stuff is no big deal. And he wanted to know about something to do with the clams and how the clams recreate. And he was like, so they were having a discussion about whether or not the clams have eggs or live births or whatever. And he said something to the effect of one clam climbs on top of the other and they mate. And while my wife did not take that badly, I was a little taken aback by it because I'm not ready for my 11-year-old to be that. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for my 11-year-old to have those kinds of discussions yet. But I do wonder sometimes, what kind of world am I leaving for him? What kind of world are we leaving behind for him? Because I now live in a world where a transsexual, whatever the hell it was, can do a book reading in an elementary school, but Dr. Seuss is verboten. That's the world we live in. And I'm finding myself wondering, times have changed. Did we change with them, or did the times, as the Latin is better rendered, change us? Wasn't that long ago when certain behaviors were considered to be an embarrassment. They were considered to be something to be kept quiet, not to be flaunted. And now, well, times have changed. And our reaction to it would indicate that perhaps we too have been changed by the times. We no longer react the same way to things that would have appalled, embarrassed, shocked, disgusted, intrigued, amazed, whatever adjective you want to use. We no longer react the way we used to. I remember being well into my adulthood, probably well into my 30s, when I discovered my grandmother of blessed memory, who is still one of the dearest people in my life. I mean, she's a saint. She's an amazing woman. Her passing in 1976 in many ways changed my life. I was on my way to the University of Oklahoma. That didn't happen. Anyway, when I was in my 30s, I discovered that my grandmother had a thing for, what's the word for it? She liked to go to Nolans. She liked to go to the French Quarter. And you got to understand, my grandparents were very strict religious people, very conservative Oklahomans, teetotalers. She liked to go to Nolans and see the female impersonators dance. Now every time that Facebook ad comes on where these, whatever the hell they are sashaying across my television screen, it brings back that memory. So is it good? Have I been changed by the times in that this reminds me of things that my grandmother liked to go see? I don't know what she did outside. I don't imagine she was meeting them backstage and having that. I don't believe, but she was fascinated by it. But she kept it quiet till long after she passed away. I didn't find out about it till almost 20 years after she died. Behaviors that were once an embarrassment have become now weaponized. If you oppose my outrageous behavior, my outrageous ideas, you are in fact the problem. You are in fact the evil. You are in fact the person who has the real issue. It's not me. It's the catch-22 of things, isn't it? In many ways. We're required to react a certain way. We're required to react as if somehow or another this is normality. So when a group tweets out or sends out an email or a press release a few days before March 2nd and announces Dr. Seuss was definitely, no doubt about it, can't be argued, racially biased, and it's proven right here in the pages of his books. It's proven, because how can you possibly deny this? How can you possibly say that he wasn't? When you look at this, here's a white character, whatever the hell it is, holding a gun. And here's a blue character and a yellow character and a pink character and a green character and a red character and I think I already said blue. He's subjugating them. That proves he's racist. And what nobody's talking about is if you read the rest of that press release, it isn't just that they went off on this deep end about Dr. Seuss being racist, racial overtones. It was then backed up by one Ted Lieu, one of my favorite people in the world, who insisted that he was offended by Dr. Seuss as a child because that's what you say. Frankly, I don't think Ted Lieu could read Dr. Seuss, but that's my opinion. Put it in the bank. That being said, they added into that press release that they sent out that this is so certain, that it is so absolute that Dr. Seuss is racist, that if you don't agree with us saying that, you are defending racist behavior. And you are the problem. You need to be canceled as well. Because you don't accept our premise that Dr. Seuss was racist. Isn't that amazing? I should try that. If you don't listen to Plausibly Live, the Dave Bowman Show podcast, it's because you hate the Dodgers. And therefore, because you hate the Dodgers, you deserve to be bitch slapped, right? If you don't believe in the flat earth theory, it's because you are supporting the New World Order, and therefore you want people to die, or you want to turn the frogs gay. Do you see how ridiculous that argument is? That circular reasoning is? There are religions that choose the same argument. Our scriptures are divine inspiration. How do we know? Because God told us they are. Our version of God told us that they are. And our God doesn't lie. Therefore, our scriptures are divine inspiration. So you're saying I can't even ask a question about it? Yeah, pretty much. And if you do, it's because you hate us and because you hate God, our version of God, whatever that is. Times change. Are we being changed by the times, or did we change with the times? There's a subtle difference between the two. I know it sounds weird to say, Dave, you're saying the same thing. No, I'm really not. Times change and we change with them is things like, I don't know, bigger gloves in baseball, batting helmets, automatic transmissions, computers. We are changed by the times means that our mindset is fundamentally at its core modified, and we no longer see things the way we used to. It's new think, newspeak, and new think. The goal of newspeak isn't to change the language. It's to make it so that having thought crimes isn't even possible because it never occurs to you to think in those frameworks. We're reaching a point now where if you oppose this, then it's because you are the enemy. And so you better stop thinking that way, because if you're the enemy, then, well, we will punish you. We will destroy you. And I don't think it's ever been more on display than this particular week between the Dr. Seuss event and the fact that politicians are now tripping over themselves to get in front of microphones to talk about how they support this idea that Dr. Seuss was a racist. He was terrible. He never should have been allowed to exist. He was so bad. And yet their tweets from a mere 4 years ago keep popping up, don't they? Kamala Harris's tweet about how much she loves her some Dr. Seuss, how much she enjoys Dr. Seuss. Happy birthday, Dr. Seuss, she tweeted back on March 2nd, 2017. Quote, the more you read, the more things you will know, the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Happy, happy, clap, clap. Just 4 years ago. She tweeted that today. Oh, here's one from, I don't even know when this was. It was obviously back in 2008 to 2012, 16, somewhere in there. Why wasn't Dr. Seuss racist when Michelle Obama invited him into the White House? Because he wasn't. But now he is. Times have changed, and we've been changed by the times. Why? Well, therein lies the deeper question, doesn't it? There are other examples, of course. Governor Cuomo. Is it Mario? Yeah, it's Mario. I get the Cuomos mixed up, sorry. The governor of New York, in his little incidents, I guess, in New York, where he is now being accused of the same things that once upon a time, not that long ago, we were accusing other people of. Remember, it was just 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Everybody was upset because some guy said something that every man has ever heard, every man that's ever lived has heard something like, or even said themselves, in a locker room somewhere. Oh my God. He talks like that? We must cancel that. And then he got elected president, and then everybody went really BSC. Then he started nominating people for the high court, including one Brett Kavanaugh. Remember this? And people started tweeting, oh, these women, they must be believed. This is outrageous that this man would be nominated for the highest court in the land. He must not be confirmed, and she must be believed, tweeted Mario Cuomo. Only now, he's being accused of basically the same thing, only this time, unlike Brett Kavanaugh, it's actually on video. You can watch it yourself. You can see it and judge it for yourself. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. The woman in question in the particular video, which I will simply refer to as the Eat the Sausage video, has made it clear that she did not feel that she was being sexually harassed. That's her opinion. She's the one who allegedly is the victim of this. In this particular case, I realize that there are others. She says it was no big deal. You watch for yourself and judge for yourself. Is that something you would be comfortable at? I can tell you that myself, as a 20-year HR manager, if my employees behave like that at a particularly in a public setting, I don't really care if they were offended by each other or not. Because the definition of sexual harassment or sexually what's the word for hostile work environment or hostile environment? It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with, does it make other people uncomfortable? And if you watch this video, hell yes, it makes me uncomfortable. And I already know that she doesn't think she was harassed. That raises a lot of questions in and of itself. But now, what does he say about she should be believed? About the other, sure, that woman, okay, she says she wasn't harassed, you should believe her. But what about the other ones? Someone said, Governor Cuomo's tweet, aged like spilt milk on a hot summer sidewalk. I don't know what kind of world we're leaving for my son. I really don't. And it's starting to concern me because I'm getting to this point where, to borrow a phrase, the politics of personal destruction has overtaken common sense. I can behave in the most outrageous manner I can possibly imagine. And if you disapprove of that, if you have a problem with that, then you're the problem. And I can then literally destroy you because you don't back up or support or allow or accept my outrageous behavior. Should cause us to wonder, huh? Times change. And we are changed by the times. What are we changing into? What is becoming of us, not just as Americans or Republicans or conservatives or Democrats or liberals? What's happening to us as human beings? What's happening with us to the point where we no longer recognize outlandish, let's just call it what it is, wrong behavior designed to embarrass, attract attention, to be an attention whore. And instead of, like I said, laughing it off the page, Dr. Seuss is racist. No, we're told that if we don't support it, we're the problem. And we better change our thinking or else. I was in a discussion last night in a theology class about this kind of thing, and it was a fascinating discussion. You know what they say, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. It's pretty much the truth of the whole thing, no matter how you slice it. But the discussion was about, do people really need to confess their sins or not? Should they confess the details of their sins, or should they just sort of say, yeah, I did something wrong? And the rabbi's debate over this was, what's the value of embarrassing people? What's the value somebody might hear? And what does that exposure do to their future potential? This wanton destruction of people, for what purpose? Does that serve the purpose of our God? Does it serve the purpose of our country? To destroy people because they don't necessarily accept weird behaviors, stupid ideas, outrageous and outlandish statements made by people who haven't really thought things through? Or have we been changed by the times?